Hello there and welcome to my Arty Corner here on YouTube. My name's Angela Porter, and amongst other things I love to draw. I'm an artist and best known for my adult colouring books. But the other thing is, for 28 years I was a science teacher. So I love to encourage people and help people to better understand how things work, how things can be done. With art, it's very much a personal process, but I share what wisdom I have with you, and hopefully in simple enough steps that you can give things a go. Can't guarantee that's always going to be the case, but you get that. So thank you so much for joining me, and you're most welcome, and thank you for all the comments. And I will have time today, fingers crossed. I got lost in something yesterday that I had to do, which is why there wasn't a video on Tuesday the 8th of November. Today is Wednesday the 9th, so getting one today, but there won't be one on Thursday the 10th because I'm away for the day. So but Friday I'll be back. How about that? Okay, so I'm going to take some inspiration from this here, which is a drawing I'm working on at the moment, a design I'm working on, and you can see it's got a sort of Zentangle-ish style illuminated letter in there, but I've got patterns here that are very much inspired by medieval manuscripts, and this one by a bird from the Book of Kells, sort of, you know, we're talking Angela style here. This is, you know, the way that I do things. And yet I've got another piece of this is Ohuhu marker paper, and I've cut it into a bookmark sized-ish piece. And this one just happens to be, I know it's 8 inches long, so it's about 19.5 centimetres. No, is it 18, 19? Let me check. No, I lie. It's 20, you know, just over 20 centimetres long by 6 centimetres wide. Oops, excuse me, I've just gone and bashed my camera, which means everything's going to be all over the place. Having a good day today, Angela. Oh yeah. And it's 2 and... oh, this one's a bit wider than the other one. The other one I cut to 2 1/4. This one's 2 3/8 by... it is 8 inches long. And I have put lines in here which are 1 centimetre in from the side, but 1.5 centimetres up from the bottom, which in inches, because I know some people, some of you work in inches. Yeah, it's a little bit, it's nearly, it's sort of like 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 3/8, so 3/8 of an inch-ish, nearly 1/2 an inch by 5/8 of an inch. So 3/8 of an inch by 5/8 of an inch would do it. But it's not essential exactly how you do this. Seriously, it's not. What I'm going to do is I want to draw my flowers and leaves and goodness knows what else I'm going to do on a kind of stem, but I'm going to draw my stem in a different way to how perhaps I would normally do it. So I'm going to start over here, and I'm using a pencil because this is just a guide for me. So I'm putting an arc in here like this. The light may be weird because it keeps going sunny and not so sunny outside, but we'll see how it goes. Then I'm going to go, I don't know, about 2/3 of the way up, and so on. I'm kind of zigzagging up here with a branch that is kind of this kind of shape, and then the last one I'll want somewhere towards the top because I think I want a distinct top and a distinct bottom. So these are just guides. Now the next thing is going to be fun. What size? I'm going to use a 0.25 to draw today, I think, rather than my 0.5. These are all just guides for me, okay? And I'm going to start with my flower at the top, and it will go outside my pencil border because that's what I seem to do. And I'm just going to draw a long, thin teardrop shape in here, like that. Mine's a bit wobbly, a bit wonky, and you know what? That's perfectly fine. And then I'm going to draw a little curve out like that. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to create almost like another little petal that peels out like this. Okay. So we've got this shape here at the bottom that I haven't finished. So what I'm going to do is about halfway up, well, sort of like I'm going to go up the curve and then I'm going to add a shape like this that flattens out at the end. So it's an upper curve and down, an upper curve, and it flattens towards the end. Now this is the interesting bit because I am going to scallop this and I want it to meet close to the bottom centre of this. So if you wanted to make it an easier process, what you can do is draw the bottom of that in, because we are going to be drawing along a curve. So I'm going to go like that on that side, which creates some sort of petals sticking down. I'm really not doing very good here on this. Okay, so a couple of details on this while I'm at it. I am going to pop in just a couple of, like a stripe here, just to separate one section from another. And then I am going to join these up, and I've got a different number of these sections on each of these side petals or leaves, whatever you want to make them. I'm just putting a little bit of black at the bottom of them just to add that extra bit of ink there. So that'll work for me. And I could put another, I think I might just pop perhaps just the tip of another petal in here like so. And I'm just going to add that ink here. So it's sort of similar to what you've seen me drawing, but not quite the same. I'm really struggling today. Let me try my other pair of glasses. I'm wondering whether I've got the wrong glasses on. Eyes. Try different eyes. Oh, that helps. There we go. Okay. Then I want something at the bottom here for like a little bit of the stem coming out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a little upside down smiley face, a frowny mouth. And then I'm going to draw it around and back on itself. So I've got that kind of shape going on. I'm just going to put a couple of lines in here. Perhaps a little bit of line weight there. I'm going to definitely add some line weight around these. My problem here is I think I've been drawing with the 05. And the 025, as lovely as it is to draw with, it is showing up all the imperfections in my hand here. So I'm going and adding some line weight in to the left and the bottom, where I can, just to increase. Oh God, look at that. Completely missed there. It's because I went and looked. I know what I'm doing. I'm not stopping my stroke before I go and look where I'm going next. So we'll make them the same on each side. There we go. And I'm going to give those something like that. And this one I think I'm going to give a stripe to as well as these, but a different level. Okay, so my stem can come down here, which is what it's going to do. Oh, excuse me. And then I'm going to go down to this stem and draw, well, I may draw a flower, but I may just draw a bud because we don't have quite as much space for all this detail. But it doesn't matter much because we'll do what it needs to do. So first step is to draw this. And then what I think I might do is from either side like this, and then I'm going to have them smaller and join up at the bottom like that. And I think that will work fine and well. Perhaps this is one that just hasn't opened up as much as the other. And just like in nature, things are always that little bit different, aren't they? Nothing, no two flowers are exactly the same. You can tell they're from the same plant, but they're not identical. So I've been... Right, so here I now need to join this stem, which is why I didn't draw this down to the pencil line. I left some space so that I could join this. I can carry on here. And again, I'm going to leave some space at the bottom. And like this. And I'm not worried about drawing, not leaving spaces for leaves and things to connect, because I'm quite happy to allow the ink to form those lines. So this is a bit different. So let me have a look at doing my line rounding, my line weights. And here, a little bit there, and then just with these. Side there, underneath here, little under there, and then down on this side of this stem. And I'm going to do the same on this one, even though I may add some stalks coming off for leaves or berries. I'm quite happy to have that. So this is where I am at the moment. I'll try and keep things on camera. Okay, so I'll do the next one down. I think for this one we're going to have some different shaped petals like that. So they're sort of heart shaped, but the outside edge is taller than the inside one. And I think that'll be fine. And what I'm also going to do, I'm going to create this so it looks a bit like a bud. So it's like these are all connected now into a bud. And then my little wing-like petals are tilted upwards, but I'm still going to do the same kind of thing with those sections that connect to these parts. And let's just do this. And of course we still need that little bit at the bottom to be consistent. There we go. So if I turn this on its side, I can see where I need to put some extra line weight. Like so. And that'll be quite nice. And then I can draw in my stem. I want to connect that one there. This one can just come down this away, as can this one. Very small little flower. Okay, let's do the next one. And for this one, I think here we'll have something completely different. Just thought I'd smudge that. I could feel the dampness. I may have just picked some ink up on my hand. So I'm going to actually draw the stem in first, because I'm going to do something that looks a bit like the Zentangle poke leaf, but I actually want it as a kind of berry or bud here. So I'm going to want to have my sides coming out like this, but I also want some that go down this way. So it's almost like what we'd see if we were looking at the bottom of this flower bud. But I can't just have one. So I'm going to do another one here. Like so. So I'm going to use the sides of these this black area here just to join this up there, and that will work. And yep, I've got this line going across, but as I said, this isn't something that worries me too much. And I'll put a third one here, like so. And down and around like that. And so we've got a nice little cluster of them there. Okay, let's take our stems down, like so. This one is underneath, so this side is the one that needs to be in shadow. On this one, it's this side, because when it's the right way up, it's the left-hand side and the lower side. So if I pop these this way, we can see then that we're going to need some line weight here. I need some line weight on that one. Here is where I need some line weight. There, the left, the bottom, and there. And there we've got some nice little either buds or seed pods. Choice is yours, really. Quite cute. Okay, next ones. I'm going to draw in this shape, but I'm going to have something a little bit different here, because I'm going to start to draw a spiral this way, and I'm going to turn it into a kind of muka, Zentangle pattern muka. These you find on all kinds of medieval illustrations and in Art Deco, arts and crafts, and in other forms of art all the way around the world. So I do want my central one here as well. So what we're doing here as well is I'm creating variations on a theme to make this quite interesting. What I'm going to do at the top of this one is, to make it interesting, I'm going to give it a cluster of 3 little teardrop shapes, almost like the petals are beginning to open there. And again, this one's going to need that little weird cup shape that I've got, or whatever it is, for the stem. And so just going to take it that way. 2 more to draw. Now, if I could remember where I got this inspiration from, which particular medieval manuscript I was looking at, I'd tell you. But unfortunately, I can't remember. So, but I absolutely love them. And arts and crafts and so on. Arts and crafts movement. I love arts and crafts anyway, but yeah, I'm talking about the arts and crafts movement. So I'm going to put a shorter, wider one of these here. And here I'm bending that outwards, coming back on a point and then going around like this to give this kind of shape. And I am going to add some little leaves like this, because I just think they look so cute. Don't know where the idea came from. I thought, we'll do that. So I've never drawn those before, so And of course, none of these exist really in nature. There's inspiration taken from nature to draw them, but they're very stylised and liberties are taken with them, and I love them all very much. So I'm just going to extend these lines a little bit and then add that little bit of ink in those little dips there just to help to bring those out. So remember, it's the left and the bottom is where we want the extra ink, the extra line weight. And here becomes the bottom. A little bit of ink there, a little bit of ink there. And for this one, I think I may pop a couple of stamen in. And I think I might, shall I? I think I will. Just add auras inside like that. And the last one, very long thin one. So I've drawn outwards, 1, 2, 3, back around, and I'm coming around the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side where it's 1, 2, 3, and join that one at the bottom. So it's almost like I've got a, sort of like a furled flower almost in the centre here. But what I am going to do is I am going to add a couple of extra little petals there, or petals sticking out just a little bit. Let's do the usual, let's add some weight there. And I think I may just take a bit of a liberty at the bottom with another one of pair of mucas and join them with that kind of arch at the bottom. I haven't done a very good job. I am drawing on the fly here very much. So let's have a look. Where do we want line weights and those little bits of ink added to round corners or connect things so they look like they've been soldered together? There we go. And here I'll want some weight at the bottom there, there, and that side, there and there. And then we're going to add our stem there. And I am going to change the slope of this line down to the bottom. And I'm going to give it a kind of heel as if it's been torn off the plant. As you get sometimes that sort of diagonal feeling. There we go, and I'll just thicken that. A bit of rounding there. So we've now got this going on. I'll turn it on its side because I've got a tall, thin kind of design going on. So I've got all of my flowers in mostly because there is space for others. But let's have a look at the top because I would like to add some leaves in here. And I'm going to use the leaves that I used in my, I think I've shown you before. So I'm going to go up, round, and I'm going to hook back like so. So this kind of shape, almost getting towards spiralling. So I'm going away from the stem, coming back towards, and just hooking round. Then I'm going to connect the point to the curved line with a curved line like that. And then I'm going to go from the top here. I'm just going to add my little leaf here like this. I'll just go with some weight there and some there just to help to bring out that curving nature. And then on the other side I could do the same. I've got enough space to do the same, so perhaps I will. So I start off with that kind of hook, crescent moon. I create a crescent moon on the end, and then I go towards the top, and we're going to go out, and we're going to have one little bump on this one. I usually put 2 or 3 little bumps, but today it's a 1 bump day. So that looks quite nice. Here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take from this little crook in the middle, and I'm going to do a couple of these kinds of buds or pods. So I don't really know what's inside them at the moment. All I know is that they're all joined up like this. So I will just add some line weight. This will need some there, and a little bit at the bottom as well, and that'll be fine. And perhaps one on the other side would be quite fun. So I'm drawing 2 lines, and then I'm drawing like a letter C around them, filling the little gaps on either side with black, and then a little bit further down I'm going to draw kind of a leaf shape in. Then I'm going to go to the bottom of this black, the black ends of this letter C, and come outwards and upwards to create that side. I'm going to go back here to where the stem goes in and just bend outwards, so it just gives that feeling there's something at the bottom. And that works for me. It's good enough as far as I'm concerned. There we go. Here I've got space here for another leaf, so let's do that. It's a big curly round, but same principles apply. Draw an arc to make a crescent moon. Go to the top of that crescent moon, come out, and we create that little B shape, or I don't know what you call it. So, seriously, brain not functioning. I have got some work done today, and I want to get some more done later on, but I thought I'd have a break from that and come and draw with you. So I've got that going on. And here I definitely like some leaves, but I think I want some that might be a bit different. So that's almost a letter S. It's that kind of hook shape, but instead of having it straight at the end, it's bending in the opposite direction. So we are starting to get a letter S. I'm going to create that crescent moon shape there. And then I'm going to come along here and I'm going to create an aura here just to close that side off and give my leaf 2 sides. So it would actually have shadow there, some shadow here, a little bit there, perhaps there. And I may actually add another one in here. So again, I've created that crescent moon shape, and I could go round the outside, but actually with this one I'm just going to go down in here, and that works as well because it looks like it's curved in a slightly different way, like so. And then I've got space here for, in this case, I'm going to just pop in a little berry or a little seed. Not sure that works out in there, but it is what it is now, and it's in ink, so I can't change it. And just to make sure that, you know, it doesn't look like it's just a weird one-off oddity, I'm going to pop something similar in here. And perhaps a little cluster of them, so that perhaps I'll have a couple that sort of like spring from the top of this one, as if the branch comes behind, and sort of like there's a branch behind that splits and we get these. It doesn't have to be believable or make too much sense, it just needs to be present and your mind makes some sense of it. So we've got some of these going on here, and I'm actually going to pop a little leaf in coming up the top here, like so. I've just drawn it in the same way I've drawn the others here. Perhaps I can put, let me have a look. So I'm going to just loop this one behind and come in like that, and perhaps I can have another one then that perhaps comes like that, as if it's behind here, and it's just going to disappear behind there somewhere. So I've got little clusters of some berries going on, but I've got space here for some leaves as well, so we've got some going on here. And that'll be fine. Got some space here as well, so I'm quite tempted to actually just pop another one of these seedy pod things in, or buds. I just think that would fill that space quite nicely. Okay, here, definitely here, I want some buds, I think. So it should be lush. I'm going to go from the side of the stem and round like that to create the rest of that one. And on this one I can actually pop some leaves. I haven't got a lot of space to curl them over, so I'm just going to create rounded kinds of teardrop leaves there, which would be quite nice. And again, it's something just a bit different here then. I can just add perhaps another one of these, or perhaps even more, just to start to fill the space in. I do want to leave some open space because I want to colour my background in, and so I do need to leave some space between these, but I still don't want it looking all that sparse. I still want that, you know, sort of feeling that we've got quite a lot of stuff going on here. And perhaps here then I will just pop a small one of these in just here, and perhaps just another little one just in there. So that's quite nice. Okay, we're getting there. It does take a little while, and I did manage to smudge the ink here, I've just realised. So here I am going to actually have one of these going down here from the bottom there. Perhaps here then I can have perhaps a kind of flowers sort of growing out of here. Slightly different flower to the others, but the same kind of idea. And if we put some of the sort of like common or familiar kinds of patterns in, it will clue us in that we've got a different kind of flower or bud going on there. So I've really created something quite different there, but I think it'll work. So we've got this going on. And, let's have one there, just like that. It looks a bit strange, but I think it'll come out once I add some pattern or some such. I think perhaps rounding that as if it's stuck in there would really help as well. Okay, we've got those, so next job is working out where top of my leaf. So I've got a leaf going on here close to this small flower. My leaves are very exuberant. The flowers are very small and delicate. Then if I'd spaced these out more and perhaps not had so much of a zigzag, I'd have been able to get more of them in. But there's always opportunities to add more. Like here, where I can perhaps finagle one in, if that's the correct terminology. So there's the centre, we've got the little bit at the bottom there. So let's have a look at adding some outer petals in. And I think we might just this one's going to be awkward. So it's going to get hidden behind this one, which is fine because that's where it's going. And by having things overlapping, you have more intricacy as well. So we've got this going on. And again, I think I'm just going to pop in like those lines there. But perhaps on these ones on the outside, I'm going to just add that inner aura. And here, I'll add these lines in, but in a slightly different way. I've missed my line there. Like so. And then I can have perhaps one of these bud-like things here. So I did add an extra couple of lines to that one because I made it quite big. Some space there. So that'll work quite nicely. Just adding some line weights. Yeah, I've made a bit of a mess here with this one, but it'll be fine. Here, I think I'm going to add some more of these rounded berries. So I'm creating the stem that goes into a kind of hole, and then I'm just going to draw a roundish shape on the top. It doesn't have to be perfect because again, and it would actually go behind all of that, which is fun. Okay, so let's have another one that grows somewhere else, because groups of odd numbers are always lovely. groupings of them are always lovely. Like so, and perhaps one more that goes up this kind of way, but like so. And trying to work out now how I can add perhaps a leaf in here or some such, and I think I can if I go like this and then have that going back that way. That will work. And perhaps I can sneak one out from between these, because who's to say that some of these leaves can't grow out from between them. That works quite nicely. And then this very end bit here, I think I'll just do some leaves that are like this one. So one on this side. So, and then we can do one perhaps on this side, like so. So this leaf would come, let's have that one coming out. So we've really got that one kind of appearing from behind this little seed pod thing, or bud. Not really sure what to call it, because it could be either or both, or neither. And just looking to see whether I want to add any berries dangling at the bottom, because I could have like it's like it's coming from behind, so perhaps we can have one to start with here, and then perhaps, as I missed that corner completely, because yeah, really not doing well with this today, but you get the idea. And yes, I'm very hard on myself. So let's have a look. Oh look, this one will fit just nicely in the crook there. And we could do with another one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw that in, and then I'm just going to add my little stem in, like that. Perhaps another one there. And that actually makes quite a nice arrangement there. So that's as far as I'm going to go with these. But what I do want to do is I was going to, but I'm not going to. I was going to rub out the pencil lines, but I think I'll leave them there for now. Because the one thing I do want to do, got the wrong set out. Those are the pastel ones. I'm really going to have to put labels on them or draw something on the top so I can see them. There's my greys. I want the greys out, set of greys. Because there's some lovely grey colours, and I want to work out what colour I would like my background to be. I'm really quite tempted to go with this dark blue, but I know that'll be too dark. That red grey could be interesting. I do like the green greys. Perhaps I'll go for... No, I'm going to go for the red grey 150. Let's see if I can find it. 120. 110, 150. There we go. And I'm going to leave my pencil lines here, and I'm actually going to do my best to draw very neatly along the edge of them, and then fill the space in that I've created. Hopefully I won't get too many wobbly lines, but as I keep saying, white gel pen is my friend. Because unless you look really closely, you won't really notice it. And if I'm going to just scan these drawings in. And with these, I do want to try and saturate the paper as much as I can. Oh gosh, I've just missed completely there. And add plenty of ink so that it will hopefully create an area that may be, or will be, sort of even in colour. Obviously, you'll all be using different kinds of media, depending on what your preference is, and that's good. So you do what you need to do to get the effect you like. That's if you're going to put a coloured area behind your work like I'm doing, because then I will just add some simple shadows to the drawing, which seems to be the way I like to work these days. But we shall see. This is really quite a nice colour. It's very different for me to use, but I tend to be, it's been a while now, I've been tending towards the more vintage and muted colours. Whereas in the past I'd always have, you know, about in-your-face bright colours, often the complementary colours, the ones that will vibrate against each other and make each other look a lot brighter than they are. But I seem to be steering away from that a lot now. So I've got no idea why, other than age or maturity. Nah, don't like that explanation. I still love bright colours, but perhaps this is my way of exploring how I'd like to use colour and a bit more in my art, perhaps. Thing is, I now need a colour palettes like this on my my Clip Studio Paint. So I think I'm going to have to scan my colour reference cards in and use that to create a palette. They won't be exactly the same, but they'll be near enough. It gives me something to start from. Because I'll be the first to tell you, if I try to create my own colour palettes, I end up in a right pickle. In fact, I tend to end up in a right pickle with colour anyway, or I feel I do. I was chatting with a friend earlier who said I need to learn to trust myself. Or what was the words? Will you just trust yourself? And I go, no, not when it comes to colour. When I finished that, the monogram I showed you, I will scan that in. And I may add colour digitally before I even think about attempting adding colour to it with markers. Because I've drawn it on marker paper, like this. Then markers are going to be the weapon of choice. Perhaps with some coloured pencil to intensify colours, or to add those shadows and highlights where the alcohol markers haven't quite worked successfully at it, or I haven't worked successfully at it, let's put it that way. But I've got a little wee way to go yet with that drawing, so I'm not desperate to do anything in terms of colour with it yet. And it may be that at the end of it I'll just add pen lines and so on to add, you know, contour lines, cross-hatching, stippling, things like that, to add the shadows in that way, in a very etched or woodcutty, kind lithography, I suppose, kind of way. Because I do like that look as well. But I don't know yet, so I'll decide when I get there. It's going to take me a wee while to do. That's for sure. And if you watched my previous videos, you'll also know that I don't leave them, this background colour as it is, just flat. I like to use a pen of some sort, usually a white gel pen, because I do like white, the subtlety of white against these softer colours, because this is a bit darker than I normally would use, but it's such a different kind of colour. Different kind of colour it may be, but I like it. I do. Bit tricksy going in these little places, but might have been what the back of my head was why I bought this set of brush pens. Because bullet tips are okay, but for these little teeny tiny little sections, I'm not going to be able to get in there with a bullet tip easily. But these work wonderfully. Okay, I need to go back and do this section down here. But just by doing this, just by adding this background colour, the design just pops out that little bit. It becomes separate. Oh, shoosh. Right, okay. Missed there. Didn't pay attention. I thought, oh, I've got that area to fill in. I hadn't. To go up to the pencil line. It's okay. White gel pens, my friend. White gel pen really is my friend today, by the looks of it. Which is fine. There we go. Because I am going a little bit faster than perhaps I would if I... Actually, no, I'm not. If anything, I'm going a bit slower. So I don't mess up majorly here and swear profusely. I think I was pretty good about that bit there, to be honest. But we'll be fine. I'm still feeling the after effects of my booster vaccination last Thursday. I get so tired. I'm better than I was, but I'm still not right. Because I could just curl up in bed and sleep for Britain. Or the world, actually. Probably. Who'd have thought it? So... But it's okay, you know, the worst part of the side effects have worn off. And I'd much prefer to have that and a milder version of the dreaded virus, should I catch it. I do my best not to. The same way I don't really want flu. Don't want to be ill. Got too much to do to be ill. But it's still lingering a bit, but it's nearly a week, so it won't take, I'll be back to my usual self soon as well. Oh, I just missed there a bit, but I'm going to be adding shadows, so that will disguise it here. Where I want white, like here, this little bit here, then that will need the white gel pen, because I don't think my colourless marker will remove it. Might. Strictly speaking, I should have gone back with a colourless blender rather to erase that while it was still wet, but it is now what it is. Right, I'm going to do this section because that little bit there dry won't make a bit of difference, but this one, if I can work wet into wet as much as possible, then I'll have a better transition or more even colouring going on here. So we're nearly done, just this little bit and this section over here. So if I do this little bit while I'm at that corner, and then I can go around this corner, get that line in. And there we go, that's that one all done. I'm quite impressed with that, to be honest. I like that colour. I really do. I think it's working out well. Okay, so I am now looking for what colours I would like to use for shadow and highlight. And I'm very tempted with that warm grey. Is ever so peachy, isn't it? But I think it might go well with that one. Then I'll use that one. That one's a bit of an odd colour there. I don't think I want the yellowy greens. I don't want the grey ones. But I think these ones will be okay. So let's have a look. So I want the 01, I want the 0.5. And I think I want the work. They were all close together. So let's have a look and see how we can do this. I'm only going to do a couple of things just to get you started on this. But I'm going to go along the edge and bottom of these where they overlap, like so. And then this is the next darkest colour, so I'm just going to pop some in under this section and then towards the left and bottom. Then I will come back and I will just, I'm going to leave a little highlight on the right hand side of these, I think, because I think that'll work. The other thing I wanted was the colourless blender. Two things I wanted to do. One was to see if I could do something about this here. I may make it worse instead of better, but we'll see what happens as I saturate that. And here I'm just going to put some down this edge where I want this to be nice and light, like so. Okay, then I do want to put some shadow there. I want to leave that highlight at the top there. So I'm just going to pop the slightly darker colour there. I'm going to go back with this slightly darker colour on this side and the bottom, I think. So I've lost a lot of it. But I also think I may just add some of this really dark colour where I want the shadows to be the most intense. So I think that would work. Just a bit there perhaps. Come back with the lightest colour just there. Actually, I don't think that was the lightest colour. Oh, it is. Actually, that looks really quite nice. I'm impressed with that. Okay, with this one, I'm actually going to go over those lines in the middle because I can do something about those. I've left an area of white in the middle of this, and I am just going to come back with, this is the medium shade. So I want plenty of this towards the bottom. In fact, I don't know why I don't leave these lids off. I am going to use the darkest colour though around the bottom there just to get this intensity of shadow just there. Just going down and around the sides, and then I'm going to come back with the lightest colour and just start to blend that. So I'll do the same here. I'm just going to colour all of this in the lightest colour. I think I'll do the white area on this one. Then I'll want the darkest colours where they overlap and at the bottom, because that's where the natural shadows would be right in this little crook and crevice. And the same here really. A little bit up the side there. So I shall come back with medium one and just allow that to blend out. And then this is the lightest, which I'm going to put in there. Then I think I will use my colours blender just to add some highlights, like so. Okay, so for this one I'm going to want the darkest colour because I picked that one up, the base here and on the side here, but perhaps a little bit more in this section. Then I've got my medium colour, which I'm just going to use to blend this one out a little bit. Just move it up towards the tip, and then I can just bring this one in. I'm just going to fill all of that space in. I'm going to colour everything in it so they're all tied together in a nice way. And then I'm just going to use my colourless blender just to put some highlight there. So that's kind of the idea I'm going for here. This bit here is going to have we've got overlapping and shadow, and the same here on the stem. So I'm going to put the dark colour down that side. I'm going to come back with this is the medium colour. Just going to blend that. But I'm going to use the lightest colour to just bleach some of this out. Because it will colour it, but it will also bleach the colours. And then to increase that bleaching, I'm just going to add that there. And yep, I know I've left it at the bottom and I'm going to end up having trouble blending this in, but it is what it is, right? So for these kinds of leaves, I'm going to colour it all in the lightest colour. Then I'm going to put the medium colour towards the bottom and just at the top there where it starts to bend over and underneath, like so. Then the darkest colour I'm definitely going to put towards the stem. I'm going to put a little bit at the top there, but I'm going to put a fair amount, quite a lot underneath there where it bends over. So I'm going to add some of that medium shade again just to blend this out. Then I'll use the lightest shade just to continue with that blending. And then where I want the real highlights, which is here, I'm just going to go back with my colours blender just to bleach that out even more. Okie dokes. Let's have a look at one of these. So I'll do this one here. Do this one here. And I'm going to put my darkest colour around the bottom and a little bit towards the side, and I'll have a little bit at the top just for that contrast, so around the sides, towards the top and towards the bottom. I'll pick up my medium shade, which is here, and I'm just going to go over that and extend the colour out a little bit, but I'm trying to leave a shape of uncoloured paper here, which is kind of the shape of the highlight I'd like, or the shape of this but smaller. Now I'm going to go over all of this with this light colour so that we get this odd peachy tone in there. And I'll do the same with another one. So I'm going to go to the bottom. Around here we've got that overlap around the edge, like so, and I can glaze towards the middle. So what I'm going to do here, this is my medium shade, so I'm going to kind of go over this with where I want my highlight to be and leave that open. Then I can come back with my lightest colour, fill that in, but I'm going to go over everything else so that everything gets a glazing of this peachy tone. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the blender right in the middle just to increase that highlight. I don't know if you can see, but the colour there is nearly gone. That's where I overspilled. Jolly good. So we've got all of those. Right, these balls, I'm going to do them, berries, I'm going to do them in the same way, same kind of approach as I did the the seed pods, lots of darker colour towards the bottom. I'm going to work out where I want to leave my highlight. There's no exact science to it because we're not creating anything that's realistic, so I tend to think of having it on the bit that's the highest up. Put this in. I will put it all over so we've got that pinky tone to everything. And the very last thing I'm going to do is I am going to put some colourless blender in there just to bleach that out. So I'll do that again on another one. So here we've got this is overlapping, so we're going to have some shadow there. Shadows around the bottom, like so. The medium tone where I'm going to just leave a gap. Like so. Then I can come back with my lightest colour where I'm going to add that to it all, so we're mixing colours really. Just put my colourless blender in there just to bring that highlight. So that'll work quite nicely. These little furled leaves, same principle. I want the darkest colour underneath here and down the bottom. A little bit of the dark colour on the tip and perhaps just a little bit on the edge here. Then I can come back with my medium colour. I'm going to leave where I want a highlight and coloured. Remember, I've got to go over all the dark just to help it blend. And I'll use my lightest colour across it all. I can see where the highlight is meant to be. And so I can just come back in with a bit of the colourless blender just to bleach that out that little bit. Okay, last one. Let's have a look. I've done everything except for, the mookery things. These things here. Have I got a bigger one? Do this one here because this one is the one that I messed up with that little bit. So it's the same idea. I'm going to put the dark colour there, dark towards the bottom. Might put a little bit of dark all the way around, almost all the way around. I want the medium colour to overlay this dark colour, but I want to leave a little circle there, which is where I'm going to add the lightest colour in. A little bit of the light there, blend it out and use that colourless marker there. So that just makes this background here appear white. I do need to touch up with a white gel pen just a little. And is there anything else I need to do? We've done everything except for all the flowers, but the approach I'm going to use for flowers and everything is pretty much the same. So wherever they're at the bottom or where I think the edges are fading away towards the distance, I'm going to put some of the darkest colour on. Then I'm going to use the medium colour to blend this out, but I want to try to leave some areas of white for the highlight. May not get it all, but in fact in this case I most probably won't. I think I'm being a bit fussy here about it all, but I have the magic of the colourless blender on my side. So, and this will all go over. So I have that lovely warm peachy colour coming through. Like so. And then for the colourless blender, I'm just going to put it where I want the highlights. So I literally bleach the colour out. I keep repeating myself. I'm having a day for repetition, I think. So that one will be lovely. And if I turn this on its side, I'm just going to cap these while I fiddle around with the video editing and so on. You can see how these colours have faded beautifully, and I've got this lovely warm colour. And I've actually got a nice warm grey background as well, which I really do like. And I quite like the combination of these. But there's other things I can do, one of which is the white gel pen thing. Is that my white gel pen? That is my white gel pen. So I'm going to add some highlights to these before I leave you. So I'm going to put some white highlights up here at the top of this, down the sides there. I'm going to definitely put some down the middle here and right the way down there, along the edge, perhaps just on the tip there. So that'll be nice. This one, I think I might just think about having them where the lightest colour is. On this, I'm going to draw some white lines in for the highlights. And I think I may do the same here. I can break those lines and I can actually bend them around as well, so that the shape gets brought out. So let's have a look. Just at the bottom there like that. So that just adds that really pop of brightness. And I'm just going to add concentration of white dots towards the centre of that space and just a spattering of them around. This one, same idea, where the white spot is, then just perhaps a couple of them straying, a little bit there. This one I am going to just do some like this and perhaps a couple like that. So I'm using the centre of these little leaflets almost. Leaflets as in baby leaves, little leaves. Not the kind of thing you get pushed through your door. And then this one, I can see where the highlights are going to be. So I'm just going to add some lines in here just like that. Perhaps a couple of dots either side just to soften the edge of those lines. And then that just brings some highlights to them. Just gives it that extra bit of contrast between the darker colour and the white, the highlights. So I hope you've enjoyed this and you'll give it a go. It seems a lot more complicated, but it is and it isn't. It is just one thing at a time. And I knew in advance I wanted a block of colour behind the design. So I knew I both wanted a design that had plenty of interest in it, but plenty of space as well. So where there were spaces that felt too big, I filled it in with either leaves or some of these berries or extra pods or whatever, extra flowers and so on. I'm not worried whether the stems connect, cleanly like this or whether they just butt up to each other. Doesn't matter. It's the overall impression that's important. So I'm quite happy with this. I think my favourite flower though is my first one because I had that space for it. The others are all a little bit on the small side, but they're all very similar and they're built in similar ways, even though, are there any two exactly the same? No, there's not. They're all different. But they all belong together because they're all part of the same family. So I hope you'll give this a go. I mean, making bookmarks is fun. And I have got holders for bookmarks somewhere, but I think these will be too wide to fit in them. But I do have a laminator and some heavy duty laminating sheets. So I may turn these into bookmarks with my laminator. We'll see. I'll see what happens. Could be interesting or not. It's possible. So anyway, thank you for joining me. Look after yourselves and hopefully I'll see you again soon. So until then, bye-bye for now.